Muhammad Jihad, la durga durga, Muhammad Jihad, Muhammad Jihad.
Hey there, friends. Welcome back to another Legally Armed America video. I'm, of course, Paul Glasgow here, the one and only truth pimp, dealing you a vulgar display of logic and reason on a daily basis. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about a couple of things that seem like they're separated by thousands of miles across the globe, but they're directly connected to one another, and I think people are afraid to call it out. Talking about the shooting last night in Austin, Texas, and the bombing in Iran. So let me get this straight. An Iranian grand ayatollah calls on Muslims worldwide to wage jihad against the United States. Then Governor Abbott of Texas scrambles to harden Texas, activating the Guard, the state police, warning about possible retaliation in the state of Texas, one of only 50 states who actually did this. Seems kind of weird, right? And within hours, an Austin, Texas bar full of people just trying to chill out on a Saturday night gets sprayed with bullets by a Muslim immigrant from Senegal. And the feds are suddenly using the word terrorism. It's like they can't bring themselves to call it what it is until it's so obvious that there's no way they can lie to us about it. But make no mistake, this is all tied to that radical ideology. So here's what our so-called leaders can't bring themselves to say out loud. A senior Iranian cleric, a grand ayatollah, stands up and issues a religious order calling for global jihad against the United States, and they can't acknowledge that that's a signal sent out across a network to mosques, telegram channels, radical preachers, sleeper cells, angry young men who have already hate the West and the United States and Israel, of course, and are just waiting for religious permission to act on that. Radical Islam is not just another faith tradition. It is a political war doctrine wrapped in religious language. It divides the world into two camps only: the House of Islam and everyone else. The infidel, the enemy, and everybody else who's not Muslim is a target. So when America and Israel take out Iran's supreme leader, the clerical machine responds exactly how it's designed to. It tells its followers, your duty is now jihad. Your job is to strike the great Satan, America. Your job is to shed blood in America because we're mad about what happened to Iran. Friends, we're not dealing with some random lone wolf here. We're dealing with a group of brainwashed, ideological slaves who are too stupid, inbred, low IQ to think on their own, so they let these radical clerics make decisions for them, and they do it in the name of their little ideology. Look, to be clear, I said this in my live stream earlier today. A lot of people mistake Islam with, like, on your street that you live on. There might be Catholics and Baptists that live on the same street. They all get along. They have differences in their religions, but they get along fine. Their kids go to school together. They respect each other. And people misunderstand that, well, Islam is just another one of those religions, like another Baptist or Catholic or whatever. Not realizing it is an ideological stronghold on people's minds. It's not a religion. It is an ideological cornerstone of everything they believe. And that book, the Quran, is not meant to be interpreted like the Bible. You can interpret passages from back in the day when it was written and apply it to your own life. Oh, if it applies here, you utilize it this way, you know, instead of an eye for an eye. Well, of course you don't go pluck somebody's eye out. I know that's some Old Testament stuff there, but still, it's not implying that you do that. It's saying get your revenge, whatever, however you have to do it. Quran's not written like that. The Quran is written to be followed strictly and literally the way it is written. If it says you cut off the hands of a thief, you don't apply that to today and say, oh, we've evolved. We don't cut off hands anymore. No. If you are following their, quote, religion the way it's supposed to be, you are supposed to chop those hands off. There's no interpreting it in today's day and time. That's why this is such a twisted thing. If they're not doing things by the letter in the Quran, they're unorthodox Muslims, not orthodox. You're doing it wrong, according to them. Now let's look at Texas. Look, Governor Abbott, he ain't perfect, but at least he understands one basic point. When a regime like Iran is openly calling for attacks on America, and when they've backed terror proxies for decades. You don't sit on your hands and issue diversity memos. You harden targets. You put the frickin' National Guard alert out there. You increase patrols. You treat the citizens' safety as more important than hurt feelings and media outrage. But look, Abbott's not operating in a vacuum. He's reacting to a threat that was imported. It's been tolerated and downplayed for years by a political class that worships open borders and, quote, multiculturalism above the safety of its own people. Diversity is our strength. Whatever. For years we've been told that. All cultures are equal. If you criticize radical Islam, you're Islamophobic. Fine. Call me what you want. I really don't care. But you got to explain to me the pattern. Jihad calls go out over there, blood gets spilled over here, and the only thing the media can manage is, well, we hope this doesn't cause any backlash against Muslims. You know what? Maybe stop importing the ideology that keeps killing people, and we won't have to talk about backlash. Now back to Austin, because it's all connected. A bar packed with young people on a weekend, downtown, music, play, and drinks are flowing, just normal life in America. Then some dude, a Muslim, originally from Senegal, living in America, shows up with a gun and turns that place into a war zone. Now, to be clear, is every single Muslim a terrorist? I didn't say that. What I'm saying is, I recognize the pattern, and it keeps repeating itself. So you have some explaining to do, not me, because we sure keep seeing the same ideology pop up at crime scenes. And we see it all the time. A Quran in the car, religious writings praising jihad, social media posts angry at America for foreign policy and its insults to Islam. The pattern is so obvious. The people pretending not to see it are doing this crap on purpose. We're always told to not generalize, but these wackos fall right into the same stereotypes every single time that they repeat the same frickin' pattern. And it ain't lost on me that this dude literally wears a shirt saying that he's the property of Allah. And speaking of generalizing, the frickin' ideology itself of Islam generalizes. It tells believers that the entire West is the enemy. It doesn't break it apart and say some of them. It says all of them. It tells them that killing unbelievers in jihad is a path to paradise. It glorifies martyrdom, not peace. It glorifies holy war, not coexistence. We're over here hugging it out, trying to talk about coexistence, and we're giving them a big fat hug. Whenever they're taking the hug, they're actually sharpening the knife that they're fixing to shove in our backs. They don't want to coexist. And radical Islam ain't just a few bad guys. It's a freaking doctrine that says the law of Allah should replace your constitution. It says the world must be brought under Islamic rule. It says that violence is justified in order to get there. That's not a peaceful religion. That's a totalitarian freaking cult. There's no other way to describe it. And you notice something else? When the shooter's a Muslim inspired by jihadi rhetoric, authorities struggle to even imply that we're dealing with potential terrorism. But if some white dude with a Bible commits a crime, every outlet in the country screams Christian extremism, but not when it's Muslims shouting Allah Akbar. Nope. Suddenly we don't know the motive. We need to wait and see. This community is afraid of backlash it might receive. No, the people lying in pools of blood on the ground don't give a damn about your little backlash threat. They care that our leaders are too cowardly to name the frickin' ideology that targeted them in the first place. Now, how many of y'all have I lost so far? I'm sure I'll lose some. I don't care. Everything I'm saying here is true. Everything. Look it all up. It's all out there. Now, granted, if you're going to ask AI is going to lie to you because AI is deathly afraid of radical Islam. But let me talk about this a little more. This ideology is not content to live side by side with any of us. It's not saying you do your thing, we'll do ours. Its texts and preachers call for supremacy of Sharia over secular law, punishments for blasphemy, second-class status or worse for non-believers, the use of violence, jihad in this case, as a legitimate, even holy tool. So when a grand ayatollah in Iran orders jihad against America, he's not inventing anything new. He's quoting the parts of his own tradition that says fight the non-believers, conquer their land, subdue them, tax them, or kill them. But what do? We just keep importing these believers, quote unquote, from these radical cult societies out there. And then we act all surprised whenever they act out and do something like this. Like we're all shocked. Like, read the writing on the label. I mean, if you don't read the label of something at the store and it upsets your stomach, that's your fault for not reading the label. We're literally reading the labels. We know what we're importing when we bring these wackos into this country. Then we get all shocked whenever a call for jihad comes out and they go shoot a bar up. Look, if a political movement openly preached, replace the Constitution, install one-party rule, jail or kill your opponents, we call that fascism or communism, and we treat it like the threat that it is. Radical Islam preaches the same thing, just under a different brand and with a totally holy playbook. Look, this ideology is wicked, and it's not compatible with the West, with us. It's not compatible with Western freedom. It should be confronted, exposed, and rejected with the same force we used against Nazism and Soviet communism. But here's the part that pisses me off more than anything. The people who pay the price, it's not them wackos and them jerks over there in D.C. It's all of us. It's our friends, our neighbors, folks in our communities. The people who pay the price are the young woman out with her friends in Austin who never makes it home. That bartender who sees a customer's head explode in front of him and will never unsee that. The families who get a midnight knock on the door from the cops talking about this very catastrophe. The regular Americans who now have to live with the knowledge that going out for a drink can turn into a battlefield because our rulers import threats, but they call it compassion. That's who bleeds whenever radical Islam expresses itself. That's who suffers when Iranian clerics send out jihad orders. That's who gets sacrificed on the altar of tolerance and diversity. So what do? Well, first of all, we stop lying. We say openly that radical Islam is a hostile, expansionist ideology. It is not compatible with a free, secular, constitutional republic like we have here. Second, we stop importing it. Extremely tight vetting from jihad exporting countries would be a start. Zero tolerance for imams preaching hatred, Sharia supremacy, or jihad. That's another one. How about immediate deportation for non-citizens who push this filth? Next, we rebuild the idea that our civilization has the right to survive. Our laws come first. Our freedoms come first. Our people's safety comes first. If your ideology says that we must submit, convert, or die, then you don't belong here. Not as a refugee, not as a student, not as a diverse voice. You belong on a frickin' watch list, on a frickin' airplane, out of here. So just to wrap it all up, I'm sorry for getting wound up on this, but this pisses me off. So we have an Islamic jihadist cleric, calls for jihad. We have heightened security here in the United States, and then we have some wacko Muslim slave that goes and shoots up a bar in Texas. Not a coincidence, folks. This is cause and effect. Radical Islam is a wicked ideology that's declared war on the West, Christianity, secular people, anyone who refuses to bow to them. Our leaders have a choice. Protect their people or protect their narrative. They got to make a choice. My question to everyone is simple. How many dead Americans does it take before we wake up and realize this isn't some mystery that we can't solve? When are we going to start acting like a nation that actually wants to live and not bow to everybody? If we keep treating radical Islam as just another faith tradition and not as the totalitarian death cult that it proven itself to be, there won't be a country left for anyone to argue about. Folks, the media tied themselves in knots over this thing. They tried so hard not to say what this was. We all knew. We knew as the Austin bar thing was unfolding what it was. And if the dude wasn't doing us all a big favor by saying with his shirt that he was the property of Allah, we still wouldn't know what was going on because they would be covering this up. You know why? Because they think we're too stupid to handle the truth. They think that we're too stupid to know, if this threat exists, we're all in danger. You know what? I'm not relying on you to protect me. I will protect myself. Give me the information I need to do a proper threat assessment for my family and my area, my community. And I'll handle that. I will protect myself. You don't give me a heads up, and some people who, I know most of us really have a head on a swivel. The average person doesn't. The average person's got their head down, farting around on their phone as they walk all the way across a parking lot into a store. You could run them smooth ass over with a car in the middle of the parking lot, and they would never see it coming. That's the problem. Not enough people with the head on a swivel. And whenever the government and everybody else thinks that we're too stupid to be able to handle that kind of information, they're putting the entire population at risk because people are not assessing their risk at that point. And they're sitting here making themselves, I feel like, an open target. I don't want to panic people. What I do want to do is make people realize this is a real and legitimate threat. And hugging somebody's not going to make it go away. Sometimes you got to put a round down range to make that threat stop. Hugging it out and giving them space to be who they are is usually not going to accomplish it, and it will never accomplish it when it comes to radical Islam. Folks, if you like this video, please hit that like button. Comment down below what you think. Am I crazy here? Was I incorrect to make the connection as early as I did, that calling for jihad and then watching the Texas governor heighten security, and then all of a sudden this thing happens in Austin? Was I wrong to call that out? Because boy, it sure fell into place the way I thought it would, because they called for this stuff, and I recognize the danger that it really is. Let me know your thoughts on that. Guys, please share the video if you get a chance. We will see you all tomorrow. As always, stay armed, be dangerous, and God bless the United States of America. Don't forget, guys, if you're looking for a book to educate yourself and to educate the idiots out there who can't think for themselves regarding mass shootings, go to damnliars.net. Again, damnliars.net, and get my brand new book, Damn Liars.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
It's hanging around.